I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand.
Happy Mother's Day. We have a wonderful group of inspirational women that are going to be participating in this special Mother's Day panel. I'm going to introduce myself first. I am Marion Redpath, and I am the rentals manager at Calgary Harley-Davidson. And we have Lanchi, who is from Calgary. And we have Jen from West Vancouver. And we have Bonnie from Calgary, and we have Corrine from Mexico City. So thank you very much, ladies, for taking time out of your day to join us. Looking forward to some great discussion from fellow biker moms. All right, so I'm gonna just ask a few questions. I'll go through the panel, and I'll get you to respond when I call upon you. So the first item that I'd like to cover is have you introduce yourself. Tell us how long you've been riding and what triggered you to get into riding. Maybe chat a little bit about your kids, and then we'll get a little bit of an idea of who's who on this panel. So I'm going to start. Again, I am Marion Redpath, and I have been riding for 26 plus years. And I have two boys. My husband and I have two boys, and I rode behind my husband for many years, and then decided that I really needed to get my own bike, because what we were finding is I was working full-time outside of the home. So the kids were in daycare, or they were in babysitter or in school or whatever all week long. So on Sunday, if we wanted to go for a ride, then we didn't want to put the kids with grandma or the babysitter. We wanted to do a fun family activity. And so the way to do that, because we had two boys, would be for me to get my own bike. And so that's what we did. I started riding on a Harley-Davidson Sportster 883, rode that for quite a few years, and then moved on to a Softail. And so we rode with the kids from the time that they were quite young. My husband had to install highway pegs that were a little bit higher up on the bikes so that their feet could hit the pegs. It was just a wonderful opportunity to ride with them. So I'm going to move on. The next person that I would like to call upon is Jen from West Vancouver.
Hi. Okay, my name's Jen, and let's see, not to date myself, but I'm riding for over 39 years. Not legally, of course, only 12 legally with my own license. At that time, any boyfriend that had a bike, I was all over it. Riding his, riding whatever I could get my hands on. As far as in the field and things I learned on, I started on my 125. And spread it throughout all my boys. I have 3 boys, and they've all learned to ride on that bike, either with permission or not. Anyway, you got a bike in your garage and you got kids, don't put the keys handy. Anyway, just saying. But a lot of experiences, a lot of good, great memories as far as where we went, just bonding, things to talk about. As far as girls' bikes, gear, what type of bike to ride, your style, how you like to look, it all plays into everything. So yeah, I don't know, what else do you need to know? What else would you like?
That's great. We're going to have some more questions for you in a little bit, Jen.
Awesome.
So let's move on to Lanchi.
Okay, so my name's Lanchi Deck. I run Too Cool Motorcycle School. I started riding in 2013, so not that long ago. And that was because I had always wanted to ride ever since I was in junior high. And everybody told me that, being 5'2" and 80 pounds, there's no way you can do it. And so I didn't. But then 2013, I just started the year. I was making a bunch of changes in my life. And I said, you know, this is the one thing that I've always wanted to do. And so I called up the school and I said, you know, can somebody of my size do this? And that's how my whole riding thing started. I don't know what else I can say, but I am married to Trevor, who has been teaching for a long time, and that's how I actually met him through the school. Nothing happened at the time; it was after, so it was very professional. Yeah, and then I'm a mom to twin boys. They're 15 years old, a handful, and they ride some dirt biking, or they ride some dirt bikes, and got two stepsons, so a lot of boys. No estrogen in this house. Oh no, we do. We have a dog, so a yellow lab.
Awesome. Thanks, Lanchi. We're going to move on to Bonnie.
Hi, everybody. My name is Bonnie Emerson. My husband's Gary Emerson, and I am a passenger biker. So I ride on the back of our Ultra Classic. We started riding about 11 years ago. I was at a girls' weekend in Sundre. We used to have a trailer at that trailer park, and so we still had several friends out there after we had sold. So a few girlfriends and myself were out at another trailer there for girls' weekend, and our former neighbor from the trailer park came over and to say hello to me, and he said, I want to show you a birthday present that my wife just bought me. So I went over to his trailer, and there was a shiny new anniversary edition of Ultra Classic. And so he asked if I wanted to go for a ride. So his wife gave me her helmet, and away we went. He put a CD of the blues in, was just coming through the speakers, and we're driving along the back roads of Sundre with the beautiful golden fields, cattle grazing in the fields, and the sun on my face and the blues coming through the speakers. It's a feeling that 11 years later, I still remember thinking, my goodness, if I was a poet, I'd write a poem about this experience. If I was a painter, I'd paint a picture about this experience. If I was a singer, I'd sing a song about this experience. I'm none of those, unfortunately. Anyway, we got back to the trailer park, and I went back to where my girlfriends were all, and I phoned Gary and said, what are you doing right now? And he said, well, not much. And I said, well, I just had the most amazing experience with Rick on the back of a brand new motorcycle. And I said, if you felt like this when you had your BSA when you were in your 20s, if you had any of the feelings that I've just had now, then I don't know why you're not riding a bike, because it's really an amazing experience. So he was pretty excited to hear that. And so he said, when will you be home? I said, I'll be home tomorrow about noon. Anyway, he hung up and he went out and started looking at bikes that afternoon. So when I got home, he greeted me at the door and said, I want you to come and see a couple of bikes that I've been looking at. So away we went, and he picked this 950 Suzuki Boulevard. And that was a great bike to just, kind of start out or get back on after 40 years. So he rode that with, did the lessons and the license, and rode that for a year for the season. And but then, of course, we started looking at Harley-Davidsons, as everybody does. And the following season, one came up for sale, and it was only a year old, had 12,000 kilometers on it, and had a lot of extras, and it was just a beautiful bike. So we bought it, and then we joined the Harley Owners Group, where we have met the most amazing people, just such good people. And so we've been able to travel with them. We've had some rallies and great trips and weekend rides, and just have enjoyed it we've had the Harley for 10 years, but we've enjoyed riding for 11 years.
Thanks, Bonnie. And next we're going to move on to Corrine.
Okay, well, hello to everybody. First of all, thanks for thinking on me. This is very, very exciting for me. Talk about a bike. Okay, my name is Karen Oberlin from Mexico City. Once I got a bike was when I came back from Milwaukee in 2003. The first time I could have money to buy it by myself was like a dream come true. But what remains in my heart is that my dad used to take me to school when I was a 4-year-old girl. Sometimes without a helmet in the little town, no problem with that. So I grew with that. I grew up with that. That keeps in my heart. And now as a mom, as a wife, things changes, but I still can see myself as a grown lady with a bike. My 2 sons likes it. The older one doesn't like that much. Okay, he likes to see me in the bike. He get excited, but enough for him, right? But the little one, he loves to get up with me, to get on the bike with me. He loves it. That's a shame for me because I really like them. I would like them to have some other activities because I know this is dangerous. I grew up with this. I grew up in a bike. So I know that I prefer if they choose for some other activity or something like that. Sometimes when I go to school, to activity, to some kind of activity of my boy, he likes it. I can see it in his face. Like if I would Superman or a Transformer coming inside the school, you know, like Bumblebee or something. He's like, my mom comes in a bike, and he tells to his friends, and he loves it. But the other moms hate that. You know, I don't really have that much friends at school, mom friends.
Thanks, Corrine. Okay, my next question for the group is, and you've already answered a little bit of this about your kids, but I'd like to know if you had your kids ride with you at any point, and then if you have a favorite memory from that. I'm going to start off with some of my memories of riding with the kids. One stands out in my mind from when they were quite young, and we each had a boy on behind us. What we would do is we would ride for about 45 minutes, stop and find a playground where they could get off and, you know, go on the slides or the swings or the playground equipment and blow off some steam. Maybe we'd grab an ice cream or something like that, and then back on the bike again. We would often go up to my parents' trailer, which was about an hour and a half from where we lived. And the one time we were on the way back, and it started off really nice. It was a May long weekend. So typical May long weekend, you can get everything from sun to snow to rain in Canada. And so we started off, it was great. We had both boys behind us. My parents were actually following in their van, and thank goodness they were, because then we got into some rain. And so they the kids hopped in the van with Grandma and Grandpa, and then we had to ride it out in the cold. And I remember my dad rolling his window down when we stopped for fuel, just a little crack because it was raining so hard, and making fun of me. And of course, he enjoyed that because he was a rider himself, and so could relate to how bad that was riding in the rain. That's when they were little. more recently, our oldest rides, and I recall a wonderful trip that we took with him, and it was really a dream come true for me. I always thought it would be great to have the opportunity to ride alongside your adult child. And we did a wonderful loop in southwestern Ontario, all the way up into northern Ontario, Sudbury, across Manitoulin Island, and then back down around Georgian Bay, through Wyerton and the Bruce Peninsula. It was just a wonderful trip that we rode with him, and I will never forget that opportunity. So that's a little bit about me and my riding experience with my kids. I'm going to turn it over, and again, we're going to start with Jen.
Hi again. Okay, so for me, other than riding when I was with them being small, I didn't get a chance to ride with them small. However, I had lots of clients that did, and they had harnesses and different things because kids like to fall asleep. I don't know if you had that experience, but so it happens. But now when they're big, they pick their own ride after they rode that 125, and her name was Foxy, of course, needs a name. And after they've been through the experience of, okay, well, slam on the brakes, see what happens. See what that happens when it fishtails. See what happens when you're flooring it in the rain, and now you got to stop or you hit something slippery. Experience that, so then when you're on a bigger bike, it's going to do the same thing. It's just going to react, and you're not going to freak out because it's doing something different. You've already experienced that on the little one where you could pick it up with one hand. You know what I mean? Kind of a good thing as far as riding skills. You're feeling it, not necessarily seeing it. But as far as them being big and growing, one came up to visit me, and he had purchased a bike, so we went through it and just guided him. Just watching him ride, realized how good of a rider he has become, and all the stories he told me riding that 125 in the pouring rain. And maybe if you're tucked real tight, you get a whole 90 kilometers going downhill. So it's quite the experience just to have them grow. And they're all happy as far as riding goes and confident. We're just working on the one. He's ready to upgrade, so we'll see what he picks next. But that's the oldest. Who knew? So great experiences. Loved it. Just being able to stop at the beach and look over the ocean and have a conversation about how it went. What did you smell? What did you see? How was the ride? You know, just stuff like that. It's awesome.
Great stories. I can completely relate to that falling asleep. I wish we had had that riding belt that they have now for kids. Okay, let's move on to Lanchi, the mom of twin 15-year-olds. Oh, and boys, my goodness. My heart goes out to you.
Let's see, my favorite memory. Well, I have a couple. Is that, just the first time we brought the kids out to teach them how to ride. It was kind of cool to see them just take to it, and just seeing them progress through, the skills from when they first hop on the bike and they're tipping over and everything until they're just riding on their own and going through whoops and stuff like that. It's really cool to see. And then when we took the boys out for a ride out, just like to Bragg Creek and stuff, and we had some really crazy winds, and it was nice to see that they just knew when to lean into the wind and everything. So it's pretty cool to have that experience and, know that going from being told that I could not ride at all myself because I was too small, and now I've got my, teenage boy on the back of the bike, and it's a cool experience to just kind of ride, and you're not needing to talk or anything, but just the whole experience of it.
Excellent. Wonderful memories. Okay, let's move on to Bonnie.
So our oldest daughter decided, after a couple of years seeing us ride, that she would like to get a motorcycle and ride along with us. So she did the same as her dad. She went out and did the lessons, got her license, and she went and she bought a Sportster, Harley-Davidson Sportster, right off the top. And she had that for a couple of years. She upgraded it after a couple of years to a Street Bob, and that's what she still rides today. Probably one of the main memories, a big memory of Cindy riding with us, was we went on a road rally to Saskatchewan, and that was her first year on a motorcycle. So that was a big ride. We did a lot of kilometers in a matter of a couple of days, 3 days. And the weather was raining cats and dogs most of the way. It was just awful. There were parts of Saskatchewan roads that were washed out. It was a trip that might have been nice to be not very memorable, but it was memorable because it was her big trip, and she was such a trooper. She just impressed everybody because she was on this little street bob, no heated gear, soaking wet, and boy, she just kept on going, and she was just amazing. I was complaining about the weather. She told me not to complain, that we're on an adventure and just enjoy it. And plus I didn't have to do the work of driving. And so anyway, she didn't have any sympathy for me. So that was a big trip. And then, we've been on other rallies with her as well. And again, she seems to hit the bad weather, but she still just keeps on trucking, and she really enjoys it.
Thanks, Bonnie. And next we have Corinne from Mexico City.
Yes,
Yeah.
at home, at the parking lot, just a little. The bigger one, not that much, because he doesn't like it that much. He likes to look at me. He likes to see and the environment a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But he don't really likes to get over the bike. But the little one, the 2-year-old one, yes, he has his own helmet. He likes to put his gloves, and he asked for it.
Okay.
I don't really like it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thank you very much, Corinne. All right, moving on. Our next question is, if I were to ask your kids what they think of having a biker mom, what would they say? Okay, I'd like to just give a little bit of an overview in terms of what I think my kids would say about having a biker mom. And first of all, I think that being a biker mom is just really an extension of my personality. I've always hoped that my boys would think that I was a strong, independent woman, and that I think that riding a motorcycle is just really an extension of that. I had an affirmation of that a few years back now, and we were at friend's house, and they were having a backyard bonfire, and we were leaving the bonfire, and it was just my oldest son and myself walking away from the bonfire. And one of my girlfriends, I love her, she yelled out, Billy, you take care of your mama. And he turned around and he looked at her and he goes, take care of my mama? My mama can take care of herself. And I'm like, yes. All right, let's move on. And Jen, tell us what you think your kids would think of having a biker mom.
Funny story. I had to ask one of them. The other one's like, he's like, he didn't think about it too much. For him, it was like, why wouldn't you have one? Doesn't everybody? Like, come on. It's kind of like, yeah, you have a biker mom. Cars, bikes, you got to be cool, but you got to ride. You can't just be the show pony, right? So part of that is all like, what are you wearing? Are you just going from coffee shop to coffee shop? Or are you actually riding distance? Or what type of bike are you riding? Or are you just on the back? It's all good. It's just, what are you doing? But I think if I had to ask the other two, I think they'd be proud. I think part of that passion they have for their bikes and their style is part from me and kind of what I wanted and what I liked. So I don't know. I hope they're proud anyway. I'm proud of them because they're doing really well. So that makes me happy. So I did something right.
Always great to know when we see our kids and we're proud of them and we feel like we've done something right. Lanchi, tell us what you think your kids would say.
I would like to think that they think it's pretty cool that I ride. And also that, because for quite a few years, I spent just doing everything for them, right, and for the family. And I think with it being the first thing that I did for myself, you know, that kind of shows something. And I do remember, you know, when I started, they were 8.5 years old, and they thought it was so cool because they were standing next to my bike and they put on their little leather jackets as well and just posing. And, you know, it was, they're always talking about the bike that I brought home. And I like to think that they still have that feeling towards it, and to see that, you know, I was able to do something that a lot of people were telling me that I couldn't do, right? And I hope that they take that and kind of apply it to things in their life as well, right? So, yeah, I hope that they're proud and that they think that it's pretty cool that I do that. So.
Excellent. Yeah, there's nothing cuter than kids in little leathers as far as I'm concerned. All right, let's move on to Bonnie.
So both the kids think it's pretty cool having a biker mom and a biker dad. So cool, in fact, that Cindy decided to become a biker gal herself. Our other daughter, Nancy, has 2 young children. She's a single mom. And so she, it's not the time for her. But she thinks of that often, and she thinks that she